Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let me repeat what I have explained previously. This subject is of 8 chapters. These chapters are continuous rather than individual. Individual means they are not connected. All chapters are connected to each other. So the first one, the first slides, first chapters will explain what do we have, or what we're going to have throughout 14 weeks. Statistics in communication is designed to introduce of statistical measurement system in communication studies. We are aware that social sciences
Mak tolong buka lagi kita, Kak.
include
Nampak
number
tak?
of main subjects such as psychology, even Islamic studies, and communication. In this particular subjects, we will get many studies in communication to be assessed, to be analyzed by you through our group assignments, particularly. Statistics and statistical analysis has become key features of contemporary social science. Key features means that it becomes very popular, or I would say one of measurements, important measurements used by almost every areas under social sciences. This is for statistics. We have SPSS. I believe that you are familiar with this word. SPSS, statistical procedure for science. In this subject, the students will be given explanation on the importance of statistics in communication research, and they will be guided through the statistics actually used in most empirical research communication studies. If you want me to give number of studies communication, it can be journalism, the study of content analysis, for example, how many articles written on COVID-19 in Britain Harian, for example. You can key in the numbers, the number of articles. You can record the size of each article. You can record the amount of words in the article for each article. These features can be coded in SPSS for you to analyze after that. Students will also be introduced to statistical analysis, data instruction based on SPSS. At the end of the course, student will be familiarizing on the fundamental concepts and application of statistics. Since you have attended this subject as PSS before, I don't think you have much problem dealing with the software especially. We are not talking data yet. First thing first is to get yourself familiar with SPSS. When you do your own thesis in year 4, I believe that many of you will need this SPSS for data analysis. I have to assure you that some of you may use qualitative approach which do not need SPSS, since it's a basis or fundamental for every student. Whether you like it or not, you must understand at least function and how to use SPSS. This study will have 8 chapters. I mean, the subject will have 8 chapters. For these particular chapters, you should have the ability to explain the principles behind the statistical techniques used in communication studies. Statistical techniques refers to the type of analysis. For example, descriptive. What is the technique to report or to come out with the information on respondent's background? Second, you should have the ability to choose which technique that is appropriate to be used and fulfill the objectives or solve the problems you intend to have in your studies. The third one, you will have the ability to solve communication statistical problems and report the result in proper and easy to understand. Analysis is one thing, but later you have to report. When you redo the reporting, you need to have appropriate, adequate words explaining those findings. You don't use jargon. Jargon means word that layman cannot understand. We have the symbol of alpha score, V as value. So for a layman, they don't really understand what is the alpha score unless you explain in your report that the alpha score is used to measure the reliability. What reliability reliability. The reliability is used to confirm that the items used to measure certain variable is trustworthy. Okay, there are 11 on the slides. Yeah, on this slide. As I told you, we're going to have 8 only. We will have one, second measurement, third descriptive statistics, fifth hypothesis testing with means of samples, six t-test and one sample t-test, seven paired sample t-test, 8 independent sample t-tests, and then analysis of variances, analysis of chi-square, some call it analysis of chi-square, analysis of correlation. You will definitely ask me, Madam, you told us that we have 8, now there are 11 on the list. If you look at number 6, 7, 8, these topics measuring differences. So there are techniques under t-test. So it becomes 1. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then ANOVA is actually measuring difference too. And will not cover number 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ANOVA, 8 correlation. Okay, we can avoid this because we will have different ways of assessment due to COVID-19, which we are unable to have a final examination, and in fact we have too many group assignments, or else it becomes more difficult to you, not to me. Okay, what is statistics? Purpose of statistics and type of statistics. Statistics is a scientific method for collecting. You collect data, organizing, analyzing data, summarizing, and presenting, as well as with drawing valid conclusions and making reasonable decisions on the basis of such analysis. We collect the data, then we organize. Organizing includes keying in data, identifying missing values. You will face respondents who did not answer every question. It becomes missing values. It's missing because there's no data. There are techniques to solve missing values through average calculation or means according to statistics terminologies. A branch of applied mathematics that specializes in procedures for describing and reasoning from observations of phenomena. Applied mathematics means if we include numbers. Those answer respondings are in numbers. If you go for qualitative, let's say you're going to ask, how do you feel about COVID-19? Your respondents will have different answers. The first one is saying COVID-19 is amazing. Everyone stays at home. We do a lot of house chores. And second respondent may have different answers. COVID-19 is bad. I feel bored at home. I don't do much. I cannot perform. I become very lazy. So those data are in qualitative. You can't transform those answers into numbers. So what kind of data usually we use numbers? Age, for example. How old are you? 12 years and the numbers. How long have you been working with the organizations? Also numbers. What do you think about COVID-19? Then we have lighter skills. Too bad, bad, neutral, good, very good. So your respondents will just tick on which scale represent their section. Why do we need statistics? We need statistics to describe phenomena. Since statistics can measure changes, differences, correlations, the phenomena can be seen throughout the process. The statistic is used to organize and summarize our result more conveniently and meaningfully. To make inference or make certain predictions. Inference means statements. To make statements or make certain predictions. What will happen in another 2 years? The calculations will show the trends. What will happen next? Number 4 is to explain. To explain means to explain why there are certain statements are positive and another statements are negative. And lastly, conclusion and yes. Now let's look at type of statistics. There are types of statistics. The first one is descriptive statistics. It is concerned with summarizing the distribution of single variable or measuring relationship between two or more variables. We can have frequency distribution, measure of tendencies, measures of dispersion, correlation coefficient, deriving regression equation. These are among descriptive statistics available on SPSS particularly. The second one is inferential statistics. It is concerned with making generalizations from sample to population. This is very important when you have to select your sample to represent population. Population is bigger than sample. Then the bigger the number of your sample, the more reliable your findings. Tests of differences and relationship between variables. For example, t-test, analysis of variance, and chi-square. Now, at frequency distribution and data presentation. How do you calculate your data? The first one is your population and sample. How big is your population? Not only the numbers, but also the gender distribution among your sample population. Second is variable. In Malay is perpetua. At least in the thesis, in your thesis, you must have at least two variables, namely independent variable and dependent variable. These are minimum. If your studies into only one variable, you will have problem. And the third one is level of measurement. What measurement you include size, correlation, t-test, ANOVA or ANCOVA, MANOVA or MANCOVA. And then you will have to present those measurement, level of measurement. MANCOVA is multi-analysis of four variances, where you have more than two variances. And then next one, presentation. How do you want to present your data? And lastly, you can present your data according to charts. Chart and graph can be design according to your creativity. It's not compulsory to have charts and graphs. It's usually taking more space in your thesis. But still, it's not wrong to have it, especially on slides. It's better to be used on slides. Population. What do you mean by population? Population refers to the entire group observed, almost always assumed to be infinite in size. The two collection of cases in which the researcher is interested and wishes to understand. The total collection of all cases. Yeah, if you are talking about UC, let's focus on one faculty. Let's say Faculty of Arabic Language. That is population. We can't generalize every faculty as population because they have different exposures to their subjects. They are different. So, if you want to look at Faculty of Arabic Language, Faculty of Arab Language, and Faculty of Leadership. These two faculties have different exposures, different course outlines, different course subjects. So, Faculty of Arabic Language can be a population. And who is the sampling? Will be the smaller number, not the whole faculty, but can be first year students, for example. Group or set of human subjects of or other example of student team on members communication board. Sampling is smaller, is a subgroup of population. It is generalization on samples. The subgroup of population, smaller number, repeat. Population is the whole, I would say, the biggest group, the overall. But sample is the subgroup. So generalization based on samples can accurately represent the population. That's why you have to be very careful in choosing your sample. If your sampling is not clearly determined, it may not be able to generalize the population. Let's look at the differences between population and sample. Population is a basic unit of interest, while sample is a function of defined population. Population is known as universe. Yeah, it's the large. It's large in numbers. It's difficult to be observed because it's too big. If you talk about, you see, 5,000 students, 7,000 students, which very unlikely for you to study on that. And lastly, sample is a portion of defined population, small in numbers, is observable. Observable means you can observe them. Is smaller, that's why it's observable. You can draw inference about population. Inference means inference. Earlier, I mentioned variables. We have sampling and population, then we need to have variables. Yes, an observable characteristics of an object or event that can be described according to certain classification or scales of measurement. And so variable is observable characteristic, not only observable but measurable. It can be measured. Now I'm asking you about emotion, feeling. How do you measure feeling? Can you measure anger? Can you get the tape and then you measure angles? Definitely you are not able to measure the angles. Curve. How do you decide on a curve measurement? Okay, let's say have this couple, Ali. I would like to tell you that I love you so much. So how do you measure that? One to 10. Eh? This is what the doctor do to the patient. They ask you 1 to 10 is the level of pain. If you say 0 means you don't feel the pain. But in social sciences, especially that involves statistics, you must choose one variable that can be measured. Mm, your perceptions towards COVID-19. So we will provide the likely scales. You just need to pick which scale represents your perception towards COVID. Independent variable, in bivariate relationship, the variable is taken as cost, normally represented by symbol X. While dependent variable is the variable that is taken as the effect, normally represented by symbol Y. Continuous variable data is a variable data with a unit of measurement that can be subdivided infinitely. Height 150.3 cm. This is example. So you need to have ID, independent variable, and then you must have dependent variable. If you have these two, you can now work on your data preparation. And then we have another variable because some would have more than variable. We have another one is called discrete variable or data. A variable with a basic unit of measurement that cannot be subdivided. Example is male and female. How do you subdivide the male? Male is one as less male, second moderate male, or third as really male. I know it sounds ridiculous, but this is what we mean by not divided. Okay, that is all for the first chapter. I will stop here so you can start your revision by looking at this first chapter before we go further. There are many areas that you discuss. I will show you on the first one what is statistics, the purpose of statistics, type of statistics, and then type of statistics. Please look at this introduction, and I hope that you can have better understanding what is statistics. So that's all for the chapters for this week.